Steelers Nation, what is going on? Thank you guys so very much for tuning in on yet another edition of the Steelers Culture Podcast, where we break down Pittsburgh Steelers football. And today, guys, we're going to be talking about the Steelers left tackle, finally over at left tackle, the third-year man out of Georgia, the Steelers' first-round pick in 2023, and that is Broderick Jones, as it is a huge year, or I would call it a make-or-break year for Broderick Jones in year 3.
Yeah, if you were to make a list of players that need to make leaps or need to make serious jumps in 2025 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, if you're making a list of make-or-break years for certain players, Broderick Jones is without a doubt at the top of that list, because if he doesn't have a good year in 2025, for the people that are waiting to label him a bust, he could end up being labeled a bust in 2025 if he doesn't improve whatsoever, now that he is officially being moved at left tackle. Omar Khan has stated ever since he was drafted, this guy's going to be a left tackle. In his rookie season, he only had one start at left tackle.
And need I remind you, his only start at left tackle thus far in his career, and it was probably the best game he's ever put on.
And that was against the Baltimore Ravens, where he allowed only one single hurry.
That's it. One single hurry. He was pretty much a big brick wall against the Ravens. He was great. And that was in the absence of Dan Moore, who was hurt. But when Dan Moore was healthy, Dan Moore stayed there up until he ended up signing with the Tennessee Titans. And since then, from that point on, Broderick has remained over on the opposite side at right tackle.
Yeah, for a variety of reasons. One is because Chuck's got benched for speaking about how the team's scheme sucks, how Canada's scheme doesn't work in the NFL. He got benched for true words, for speaking truth. He got benched for Broderick Jones, who, I'll put it out there, in his rookie season, Broderick Jones was the best tackle on the team. Last year, however, I don't really know who was the best tackle on the team. It might have been Broderick, but last year wasn't a good year for him. But leading up to last year, leading up to the 2024 season, Omar Khan stated that Broderick Jones was drafted to be a left tackle, and he will eventually be moved over to left tackle. And that was before the 2024 draft, before he selected Troy Fautanu out of Washington, which told you that, hey, we're going to select a tackle, a right tackle at some point in the draft. Thus, they did in the first round. Unfortunately, Fautanu only played one single game in his rookie season, which was against the Denver Broncos, and he was put on IR for the remainder of the year due to a knee injury.
And remember, during that Broncos game, it was Tomlin's idea for Broderick and Fautanu to split reps for right tackle, to which, if everybody remembers, Broderick had that one drive where he was responsible for 3 penalties and taking away a huge play between Justin Fields and George Pickens.
Yeah. Oh, I think we all remember that.
Yes, and from that point, Broderick didn't play a single snap in that game against Denver. He was benched. Fautanu was in, and Fautanu looked good in that game. And then he got hurt. He injured his knee, and that pretty much took him out the rest of his rookie season, unfortunately, which caused Broderick to get back into right tackle, to which, if I had to throw a positive out there, the experience from his rookie season at right tackle, that helped the Steelers because of that experience.
Well, it's because they had no one else. They figured, hey, we're gonna select this guy in the first round of the 2023 NFL Draft after having only one single full season as the left tackle for the Georgia Bulldogs, who won back-to-back championships. Broderick responsible for locking down that left side for, Stetson Bennett. We're going to select him in the first round out of Georgia while he's still very raw, and put him at the opposite side. And then when our first round tackle for the next draft class gets hurt, we're going to keep him at right tackle because we have no one else.
And they were just astonished with Dan Moore's performance,
which in return gives us a 3rd-round pick for next year. Thank you.
Yeah, 4 years of suffering of Dan Moore for a 3rd-round pick. Hopefully it turns out for something.
But at the cost of keeping this guy, Broderick Jones, out of his natural position for 2 years while he's still very raw in the NFL. He has only had 129 reps at left tackle since being selected in the first round. And they decided to keep him at right tackle because they had no one else. They figured, hey, this guy's a swing tackle. He has experience from right tackle due to his rookie season because our other first-round tackle was hurt. Let's keep him there. Let's not provide right tackle depth so we can better this guy's development and make sure that he is developing at left tackle because that's what we selected him to be. No, let's keep him as the swing tackle and make sure that he is the only option we have at right tackle instead of securing that spot so he knows for certain all you got to worry about is the left tackle spot. And that messed up with Broderick's development. That messed up with Broderick's season altogether last season, as well as an elbow injury, which, if you guys recall, during training camp and preseason and about the first couple weeks of the regular season last year, he was sporting a very massive elbow brace, which really hindered his play.
Especially early on, because last year, I think I have it written down, yes I do, within the first 8 games, he was wearing that elbow brace, he gave up 7 sacks. 7 sacks in 8 games was not a very great start for Broderick Jones.
Plus all the penalties he committed.
However, after the Steelers bye week, they end up playing the Commanders afterward, and Broderick actually had a great performance against the Commanders, if you guys remember. He was a stud there. He was very good. And from that point on, from week 10 to week 8, he only gave up 3 sacks.
Yes.
So he got better in the second half because his injury recovered, and he got better as the season progressed.
Yeah.
When the team was failing and everybody else just wasn't really playing up to par, he's one of those guys that kind of progressed, that kind of stepped up his game, which is a positive to see out of Broderick even over at the right side.
Right.
Now that you got him over at the left side, to what you and me have been adamant about for 2 years now about the Steelers' usage of Broderick Jones, that they got to put him over at left tackle.
And this was always going to be the plan, was Omar Khan selected Broderick Jones to be a left tackle. He drafted Troy Fautanu to be a right tackle. That was the vision. Broderick Jones from day one should have never seen right tackle reps ever, because now that has taken 2 years of valuable time, valuable experience, and valuable reps away from his natural position. Now this is putting Broderick in a tough spot where this season is going to be a massive, important season for the Steelers and for him, because if he doesn't showcase any growth or any progression while he's still raw and being away from that spot, that's going to put the Steelers in a tough spot at the tackle position again. Do they trust Broderick for the last year of his rookie contract? Are they going to exercise the 5th year of his rookie contract? That all really depends on his performance in 2025. But you might have your own opinion about Broderick. You might label him a bust already. I understand, but I can't endorse how the Steelers have handled the Broderick Jones experiment, the Broderick Jones development. I mean, I look at guys that have left the team, guys on the line that have left the team and have been coached up by the same coaching staff that have done better. Look at Kevin Dotson.
They moved him at left guard, and that just hindered Dotson's play, of course. You know, his later years as a Steeler wasn't very good. We traded him away for late round cap, and it's been a steal for the Rams. Ended up having a great season in his first year and got the bag, and he's been one of their better offensive linemen. Go to show you the difference in coaching between the Steelers and everybody else.
And what's very similar about that story and Broderick's story is it's the same coaching staff. It's the same offensive line coach, Pat Meyer. Nobody trusts Pat Meyer to coach these guys up. This is an incredibly young offensive line. This 2025 Steelers offensive line will include 4 guys on rookie contracts as long as they stay fully healthy. We're talking Broderick at left finally. We're looking at Zach Frazier at center, dog. We're looking at Mason McCormick at right guard. And we're looking at Troy Fautanu. Hopefully he can stay healthy. That is 4 guys on the line that are your starters on rookie contracts. Young studs. That is ideally the future, the next wall for the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? The Great Wall of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
For guys like Caleb Johnson and Jalen Warren, whoever the quarterback's going to be for this upcoming year, Aaron Rodgers. That's the ideal situation. You still got this guy providing the development for some of the guys that are being selected in high rounds. Frazier, 2nd round. Fautanu, Broderick, 1st round. McCormick, got him in the 4th somehow. Like this, I can't trust the Steelers in developing the offensive line based off of the prior experience and the results we've already seen. Why should I expect anything better? Why should I expect anything different? But the only glimmer of hope I'm going to have is that Broderick is now confident in his mind. He's now going to be over at left tackle, and Omar Khan did admit it is a safe assumption he will be the left tackle, as that's why he drafted back-to-back tackles. Broderick at left, Fautanu at right. As long as they both stay healthy, we're hoping that is maybe our version of the Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt tackle
If you want to put it in Steeler terms, Alejandro Villanueva and Marcus Gilbert.
Right.
If you remember those days, and those were great tackles. They
I
were
remember those days.
anchors right there at tackles. And this is hopefully the plan and hopefully the future with Broderick and Troy Fautanu. But Broderick during OTAs, he actually mentioned that he has slimmed down from 325 to 305. If you've seen recent pictures of Broderick Jones, he does look a bit slimmer. And according to him, he says it gives him a better opportunity to regain some of his mobility when it comes to specifically run blocking. But he also mentioned during OTAs that being back over a left tackle, he feels that it's a bigger boost for him just because he's been so used to playing on the right side and that he's trying to get used to things and making sure that things are right in his head and not thinking that he's still over on the right side.
That's a big problem with Broderick. And I'm hoping that is, where he can turn things around. Is for the past 2 freaking seasons, he has been the swing guy at left and right. He didn't know where he was playing. The Steelers kept putting him on each side, which messed him up mentally. It screwed up his confidence. He didn't know where to play. He didn't know what he was doing because he didn't know where the Steelers were going to put him. That's not what he was drafted to be. You don't draft a backup swing tackle in the first round.
Not just draft. Keep in mind, the Steelers traded up to select this guy in front of the Jets. They traded up to get this guy.
Yes, they did.
And the coach's plan was to have him as the backup swing tackle for last year.
So I think the first big step of fixing Broderick and getting him on the right track is putting him at left tackle, which that's already checked off. As long as everyone stays healthy, that's checked off. Even if, knock on wood, Fautanu gets hurt again, don't put him at right tackle. They should just tell Broderick, listen, no more right tackle. Erase that all from your head. You are at left tackle. Focus on that. That's the only thing we want you to worry about. That's the only spot on the line you need to worry about. That is going to help him out mentally, knowing that he is comfortable at where he is naturally at. It is the natural side for him. It firstly starts in the mental area for Broderick. Once he knows that he's going to be there for the long haul, for the long term, hopefully for the Steelers, hopefully he works out. Once he knows he's there at left, he can really just focus on the basics and getting everything down. He can find his confidence again. And the fact he lost 15 to 20 pounds, he's not hurt no more. He's not dealing with a big old elbow brace. His elbow injury is 100%. He can find his confidence. He can find his groove again at the left tackle position. I just hate that he was away from that spot for 2 years.
And that's coaching's fault.
It is. And that's where I got to tell Steelers fans, if you want to label him a bust, that's your opinion. I totally get. I'm not going to yet because we haven't seen him at left tackle enough. We haven't. Only one full start.
And I said this even after he was benched during the Broncos game. I said it live while we were live for the game. I can't label Broderick a bust until I see him long-term, or full-term, I should say, full-term over a left tackle.
Yes.
I need to see how he is every snap, every game, every time over a left tackle so that I can actually stamp on if he's a bust or if he's a great selection.
Yeah.
I still see tons of potential out of Broderick Jones. I am still a fan of Broderick Jones, and I might be in this boat alone, but I still believe in Broderick Jones. Now, if you put him over a left tackle, all his problems aren't just going to disappear magically, right? That's not what's going to happen.
Because clearly, even if you switch him over to the left, the penalties need to be tempered down by a lot.
Not the false starts, the holdings, like penalties in general.
Well, yeah, it's just he was one of the more penalized tackles last year. Like, the penalties definitely got to tumble down. And just because he's over left doesn't mean like his hand usage and his technique and his footwork is magically fixed. That's where it all still gotta work with Broderick. That's where he's all still gotta get things together.
Yes, that's all on Broderick to work on. That's for Broderick to continue to work on his craft. But considering that since he's now kept on left tackle, you keep him there, he can actually finally do it full term.
Yes.
Full time. That's what Broderick needs to do.
Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about being swapped over to the other side. He doesn't have to worry about learning, the different directions of being on the opposite side. He can worry about where he started at left tackle for one full season and some playoff change for the Bulldogs while he was selected by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He can sit there and harbor on what he needs to improve at, which is definitely his hand usage, definitely his technique. His hand usage is often way too consistent. It's either too high or too wide. He opens his chest too much, and that allows edge rushers to find an open to get a window to get him off balanced, which causes a lot of bad for the Steelers and for Broderick Jones for the Steelers offense. His technique, his footwork definitely needs cleaned up.
Anticipation against the pass rush in general, like that's what he's got to get better at.
But as you saw in the second half of the season, once his elbow injury started to heal up a little bit, once he started to get hampered down at right tackle, knowing he was going to be there, he started to get some things down. He wasn't perfect. He wasn't entirely consistent, but he started to get things down. And we're hoping where he's going to be comfortable and natural, maybe it'll all come to him as soon or as quick as we all hope it can. But we're still going to need a little bit of patience because he hasn't been there in a long time. He hasn't been there in really 2 full seasons. Like, that is a lot of wasted time for someone like Broderick. That's 2 years away from his rookie contract.
I hate that we're still talking about this, going on year 3 with Broderick Jones. This should have been the gate day 1.
Absolutely.
This should have been, but, still his coaching is just going to do the complete opposite. But keep in mind, he's got a 5th-year option coming up. And this is a crucial thing for the Steelers to decide on, especially if you're an offensive lineman in the NFL. It's a big, big tender right there.
Well, especially for what the Steelers are trying to build with a very young team, and especially on that O-line.
Yeah, it's a big money option. And this is up for Broderick. This is up to Broderick to showcase, hey, you can exercise that option. You can decide on, extending me and keeping me for another year. And maybe we can discuss contract terms down the road for the future, right? This is a big year for Broderick. Like, put him over a left tackle, that's what should have been the case. I'm glad it's happening, finally. Better late than never, I suppose. But still, this is a huge, crucial make-or-break year for Broderick Jones. He's got to prove himself. He's got to prove that this is why you selected me, that I can live up to my pedigree, that I can be the guy for you over here on the left side.
Yep.
And even, during OTAs, Nick Herbig said that, he's moving fluidly. He's looking like a natural left tackle. Darnell Washington is his old teammate from his high school days and, of course, the Georgia days and with the Steelers.
Right.
He's even said, like, Broderick kind of feels like he's getting his groove back and whatnot, which is great to hear from his teammates. That's what you want to hear. But it's up to Broderick to put it up on tape, on the field.
Well, you also can't ask for a better edge group for him to work with in practice, to rep against every day. You can't ask for a better edge group. You're looking at TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, and, of course, Jack Sawyer. That's a tremendous edge group, which is only going to better Broderick. Once you put him where he's comfortable, where he's natural, where he knows he can shine, I'm hoping things can really start piecing together for him. Because you might label him a bust. That's fine. I totally get it. I still want him to work out. I still want to believe in Broderick Jones. So I am hoping he has a big year this year. I really want him to work out. I want that franchise left tackle, which is why we were so heavy on going tackle that year, and we freaked out when we traded up for him. Because for hell, we needed to get rid of Dan Moore, only for us to not know at the time we would have to deal with 2 more years of Dan Moore to get a 3rd-round comp pick next year at the cost of keeping him away for 2 years at his natural spot. That's how the Steelers want to do things, fine. Now's the time for him to get to work. Now's the time for the Steelers to do where they wronged his first 2 years. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping it all really starts getting to where it needs to be. What Omar Khan's original vision is Broderick at Fitanu. We hope that they both work out. We hope they both stay healthy so we can literally get a full glimpse of that vision. Because the trenches is very important. Without the trenches, you have nothing. You have no football team. Believe us as Steelers fans know that firsthand.
Yeah.
We're hoping these guys work out.
And I can only hope that, it's worth the wait. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, the entire O-line in general is going to be a patient situation.
It is because, there's a lot of young studs. A lot of young, great talent on that field.
And it's also just the unfortunate circumstances that, we've seen the past few years. Like Broderick out of his natural spot for 2 years and being coached by Pat Meyer. Troy Fitanu was injured essentially all of his rookie season. Mm-hmm. It sucks. It's going to push the O-line and the growth of it back further than we anticipated. But like you said, maybe the wait will be worth it. We're hoping. But one, I just hope that they, no matter what happens, whether Fitanu gets hurt again, knock on wood, no matter what happens for this season, keep them where they're at. Keep Broderick at left, keep Fitanu at right, and let's see where we can go with this. And we hope that the coaching can do these guys right. Because without good coaching, you're nothing. And I don't trust Pat Meyer. I don't know why the Steelers are keeping Pat Meyer. I don't know why the Steelers are keeping most of their offensive coaching staff. But
the majority of the coaching staff in general. But I've never been satisfied with Pat Meyer. I was never a big fan of Pat Meyer. I don't know why he's still here. I don't know what he's done to still be here. But The Steelers, they don't really relieve their coaches of their duties. Obviously, Matt Canada was basically a Haley's Comet, a rarity. So I don't see them really moving along from Pat Meyer, especially midseason. I think it's just going to be one of those things where it's like, hey, we're going to ride with you for the season, and then we're going to go our separate ways.
I will say, though, at least this is a step in the right direction, especially for a guy like Broderick. This is 100% a big year for him, and I'll be rooting for him. I will 100% be rooting for him. Last year was not pretty. It wasn't. It wasn't entirely his fault. It just wasn't a good year for Broderick. It was really, I hate to say it, a wasted year for Broderick because he was stuck where he shouldn't have been. And Broderick's performance, I'm not making excuses for Broderick. Broderick sucked last year too. He did. But he also improved towards the tail end. And with him hopefully getting some confidence back, knowing he's going to be at left tackle, maybe he can give us a glimpse of why he was selected in the first round. Maybe he can quiet the haters and quiet the doubters and quiet the guys who are already labeling him a bust. Give the Steelers reason to think, man, we should have kept him here all along. Give the Steelers reason, hey, maybe we should exercise his fifth-year option.
Yeah.
This is definitely a big year for Broderick, and I, will be rooting for him heavy. I want him to succeed.
And it's up to Broderick to go out there and ball out, to be consistent, to play to the best of his ability every single snap.
Absolutely. At left tackle, obviously, Aaron Rodgers is going to need it. The entire O-line is going to need it. And overall this entire season, I'm excited for the entire O-line. You still might have your doubts, and that's very understandable, but it's so young. There's still so much room to grow. And all these guys being at where they're naturally at is a good case for the Steelers because for years on the O-line, we haven't had that. We've had a lot of guys out of position. Kendrick Green, Kevin Dotson, Broderick Jones the last 2 years. Now we got guys, as long as they fully stay healthy, where they shine. So hopefully Broderick all the way over to Fatanu, it'll all start gelling together. We can actually get a very young and fierce offensive line that'll give us something to be proud of. And I think it really starts with Broderick because he's over at left. And really, the time is ticking for Broderick.
It is. Again, make or break Broderick.
It is. So, again, we're going to be rooting heavy for Broderick. How do you guys feel about Broderick Jones, man? Do you think he'll shine at left tackle? Do you think the change to left tackle will make any difference? Let us know your guys' thoughts on Broderick Jones. Do you think he's a bust? Are you going to give him any more time? As a matter of fact, how much time are you going to give him? Like, if you aren't labeling the bust yet, how much more time are you going to give him? Is it half the season? Is it the full season? Let us know in the comments below. Love to hear your guys' opinions on one Broderick Jones or the entire O-line in general. But Broderick is a big year for him. Make or break. Definitely at the top of the guys that got to make a huge leap. And we'll all be rooting for you. As long as you wear that shield, no matter what you did in the previous years, you will get our full support. So at the end of the day, here we go, Steelers. Let us know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. And see you in the next one. Here we go, Steelers.
And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later. Peace!